All right, and we're live. Thank you for tuning in. This is the first episode of 1-2 Talk, a new Curch Group MMA podcast where you listen to Mac and Rob discuss today's news and events in the MMA world. All right, so the most recent news. What was that, Mac? Yeah, I heard about that. I didn't get to see it, but I heard. I know the controversy with the one fighter missing weight, Figueroa missing weight, and I know it ended. I saw the finishing sequence, and it looked pretty vicious. So I want to know. I want to know how that got led up to. I want to know what snowballed into that. Yeah. Yeah. Hey Mac, I forgot to put audio input captures. Yep. All right. This should work. Yeah. That's my audio. What about this one? Can you say something? Max, start talking. Just start humming, please.
Uh, did it work?
Yeah, it worked. Oh
Muttering, just
shit, we
humming
did
at
that
things.
live. All right. Sorry for that
Okay.
late audio test. Thank you for turning into the Curch Group MMA podcast 1-2 Talk, where Mac and Rob discuss today's news and events in the MMA world. Today, we're going to kick off by talking about the title fight that happened last night, actually, if you're watching this live, but it happened Saturday if you're watching it during the week. The only fight to ever happen on a leap day in the UFC because it's the first Saturday on a leap day in a long time. Fun fact. But
Crazy, crazy.
yeah, that's a cool coincidence. Anywho, so the title fight at the weekend ended in controversy as the winner actually missed
I would say
weight.
semi. I would say semi controversy, yeah, but still
Yeah,
controversy.
but the winner missed weight, so he was not eligible to win the championship. So it's a little dissatisfying. That's just my personal opinion. It was a good fight. Like obviously, I respect everybody who fought, but I don't know. As a fan, it's a little difficult to walk away from that fight with a smile. So,
Right,
uh,
especially like what it did for the division.
yeah, and we'll talk about that later. So, Matt, can you explain to me what happened during the fight?
Right. So the first round was just a classic Joseph Benavidez fight, where he's fighting on a team alpha male, and you're fighting a team alpha male guy, you're gonna expect a lot of overhand rights and guillotines. Just that's their classic bread and butter. Uriah Faber, Cody Garbrandt, TJ Dillashaw before he switched camps. That was a lot of their stuff. Like in every team alpha male fight, you'll see one of those moves thrown multiple times. But the first round was kind of slow. You saw Joseph Benavidez doing his classic thing where he would run in with his head down, swinging haymakers, doing some good work. But Figueroa his head movement was beautiful. He would slip punches, just by turning his head a little bit, then just fire that right hand right down the middle. Just boom, just pop him every single time. And then when he did eat a shot, he would turn his head so it would just either glance off or it wouldn't do that much damage. Um, so I had the first round for Figueroa just because of the beautiful counter shots. Because Figueroa can fight in two ways. He either fights brawling, coming forward, hitting you with some stuff, or he's a really good like step back counter puncher. But in the second round, you could kind of see Joseph Benavidez was getting a little tired.
Oh, really?
So yeah, he
I
I
know
wouldn't say he
Joseph
was
Benavidez
extremely
is
gassed.
a longtime veteran. I don't know much about him, but that surprises me. Huh. Do you think
Well,
do you think the
the weight
extra
cut.
weight? Yeah, do you think the other fighter coming in heavy would upset him? Because it's kind of like he didn't
I
have
honestly want to
as
say
much of a weight cut.
Figueroa was at a disadvantage because if you're cutting all that weight and you still have to cut more weight, I feel like he honestly went through a harder weight cut than Benavidez,
Okay.
and he still missed weight.
So, all right, back to the fight. So, how did that play into the fight, do you think? Or how did the fight
I
end? Get to the end of the fight first. I won't
so
bombard you with
Benav-
questions.
so I'm gonna flash back to the Benavidez versus Cejudo fight. Cejudo when Cejudo would dip his head down and throw shots. So Benavidez would always they'd always clash heads pretty much because Benavidez runs in head down, throwing punches, coming forward. So Figueroa did the same thing, which kind of stunned Benavidez, and a cut opened on Benavidez' forehead. Benavidez backs up, gets hit with some hard shots, then Figueroa lands a beautiful right hand, dropping him. The fight's over. He was out cold.
Wow.
It was shocking.
Wow. So, Figueroa was able to actually knock out Joseph Benavidez in the second round.
Yes.
Wow, that's crazy. And honestly, that kind of sucks for him. I mean, not I don't mean the fight itself, but I mean the fact that he missed weight and was not eligible to win the flyweight title. And then also one of the saddest parts about it, one of the most that for me personally, is that he lost so much of his purse, and then there was another fine, and I remember seeing people on Twitter saying it was a nonsense fine. I believe it was something like the similar to the Reebok thing, where the UFC fined him and the commission fined him, and
What they end up
so
finding him for?
the missed weight, the UFC fined him and the
Oh,
commission fined him, and so he actually lost so much of his purse. I believe his purse when he signed the contract was $30,000. And I don't know what's up with the pay-per-view points or whatever. He was a main eventer. But
I'll think it's not pay per view.
not a pay-per-view. Or did they get TV points? It's probably
I
not
think they
much.
do.
Yeah, but he was only guaranteed 30,000 and he ended up only being able to take home 5,000 of that. He only his uh purse was only $5,000 for this fight.
He probably sees none of that after gym fees and rent and all that. He's got
Yeah,
zero
paying
from
his
this.
bills. Yeah, I've actually
Negative.
I don't want to talk about this just yet. I want to see how it develops a bit more, but I will foreshadow the UFC not paying fighters as much as other promotions. I mean, that's people have
Uh,
talked about it, but I don't want to get into it just
Guys have
yet.
left
But
the UFC because of it too, but we can talk about that in a different episode.
yeah, we'll talk about that later. But I do believe that this is some nonsense. The commission should fine them. The UFC should not.
It's honestly a commission issue, not a company issue.
Yeah, that's what I believe. It's a problem with the commission, not with the company. I know this actually brings up an important point because I think the reason Dana does take the extra fine is because he has no respect for fighters who miss weight. I mean, I saw him. I forget where it was, but I saw a headline that he was calling out the fighter who missed weight and explaining like how he doesn't believe it's not professional to miss weight, especially like 2 pounds on your title fight, the most important fight of your life. He went into him, and you have to think Dana White's going to be mad. So what does that mean? What does that mean for the fighter who won the title fight? And also, he won the title fight. He did not win the championship. He is not the champion of that division. That
What's gonna happen
division's
there now?
Yeah, that division still has no champion. Dana White, he tried to Cejudo tried to revive the division. We all remember when he destroyed TJ to save the division. That was his whole thing. But
Giving the flyweights, yeah.
yeah, he was saving the flyweights. But now that that division has no champion, which Dana needs a good title fight to make a division succeed, to make a division prosper. He needs a good champion and a
Right.
fight that
You saw that
everyone
with
loves.
lightweight with BJ Penn. When lightweight got introduced and BJ Penn was champ,
Yeah,
like that was a good champ.
Robert Whitaker, Israel Adesanya. He wants good title fights that have. He doesn't want controversy. He wants guys who show up. He wants guys who get fans. And now, if the first thing we think about when we think about that fight is the way that should be champion missed weight, it kind of that puts a bad taste in your mouth, and it makes it hard to get excited for that division. And I think Dana knows that, and Dana's been trying to kill off the flyweights for a while now. So I do believe the
Think that
flyweights.
division has had a huge problem for years.
Yeah, it's been. I don't know what it is. I think in this country, there's not a lot of fighters of that size or athletes in general of that size. But I believe because of wrestling getting more popular, I think that's going to change. I think we're going to get more fighters, lower divisions. We're kind of seeing it. We're seeing it a lot from around the world, but in this
You
country,
got a lot of
it's kind of
a
hard to
lot of
find.
like a
But
lot of Sixers are like pushing, pushing. You got the 112ers in high school and the 106ers who are just like who still put out like in crazy work ethic, and
yeah,
those guys are still insane athletes, just really tiny.
yeah, they're just smaller. That's the only difference. They're just as good. Most of them are better because they have to use technique.
Demetrius Johnson,
Perfect
pro-
example,
probably pound for pound one of the greatest fighters of all time.
for sure. One of, if not the. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, you have to think about. I think Dana White hears our concerns, and I believe he's anticipated them. And I think now he's kind of sitting there like Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet on, and he's ready to snap and kill off all the flyweights. He might be ready to get rid of that division.
To be honest, I don't. Is that such a bad idea?
Getting
Like,
rid of the flyweight division? Okay,
yeah,
I believe. Okay, this is what it all comes down to: uh, finding the should be champion, finding Figueroa for the missed weight, even though the commission's already finding him. I think it all comes down to the UFC as a company, so it wants to make money, and
right.
I do believe to maximize profits, getting rid of the flyweight division, it wouldn't be a bad idea. It wouldn't be the worst idea for business. I believe for the sport of MMA, I do believe it'd be better for the sport of MMA. But what is good for the goose is it's good for the gander. Thanks, Bisping. Stole that from him. But
The count.
the count. What a legend. Buy his book. It's incredible. It changed my life. But
Prize book. We're not sponsored, but I
we're
mean, we
not.
could be. Michael Bisping, if
It's
you're out
just a
there,
good book. Bisping,
it's a
Lewis.
very good book.
But yeah, I think Dana White would get rid of it. I think that's the kind of person he is. That's the kind of business he's running.
It's
That's the
either
way he does it.
I
I think he's gonna get rid
you
of it.
got you got you got four big guys in the flyweights right now. You got Benavidez, who's fought for the title 3 times and
Okay,
lost all 3 times.
but to be fair, I've been like since my 16th birthday. My 16th birthday party, watched the UFC card, or I guess a month before, and that was my first UFC card. I haven't missed one since. I'm a new fan. I haven't seen Joseph Benavidez fight before. I'm still a semi-casual. That would have been. I didn't even get to see that fight, but that would have been the first Joseph Benavidez fight I've seen, and I think now that the UFC is on ESPN and it's hot and popular, and we have all these new fans, it wouldn't be a terrible idea to move away from that, division.
Right. Because you don't have the guys, in the middleweight division, you got the top 15 is full of killers and people who could be champions
I,
right
I
now.
yeah, I started watching the sport 2 years ago, and I can name the top 5 and top 10 guys. I think I can name the top 5 at shit.
You name the
I
top
did it
5 in
with my
flyweight.
dad. I did it with my dad. I did every division except featherweight and bantamweight and
Flyweight.
flyweight. Yeah, but
It's
at
always confusing too.
155 and up, I could name every guy. That's just they put out really exciting fights, and they're like crazy to look at. That's where you get guys who they can win with their athleticism. They can get those crazy overhand knockouts, which you don't see a lot at the smaller weight classes. Is why I think
But you
if
saw a lot from
Figueroa,
Figueroa.
but if he made weight and he was the
That would
champion
have been a
and
different
there was a
story.
story to it, and it was like when Johnny Hendricks beat GSP, that would have been different. But he didn't make weight. He's not the champion. He doesn't own the weight class now, even though he has the most exciting style in it. I believe it all comes back to that. I think if you're serious about this sport, I believe you should be able to do the weight cut, whether you came into the camp heavy, whether you have the wrong specialist, and this I believe is a smarter idea. I believe this is a better idea. Go up a weight class.
There you go.
Don't have an intense weight cut, because your skills will carry up there. If anything, you might have better technique.
That's
And
what Robert
you'll
Whitaker did.
certainly, yeah, and you'll certainly be faster than your opponents, and you're going to be in better shape because you
Robert
didn't have
Whitaker.
to cut as much weight. It's like what we saw when Conor McGregor fought Cowboy Cerrone. Conor didn't have to cut weight for that fight,
Robert,
and he came in explosive. I believe that's what
right.
that was all about.
Saw the same thing with Robert Whitaker moving from welterweight to middleweight. He was an average, probably below average welterweight, moves up to middleweight. He's got the speed of a welterweight, and he just starts putting people out.
Yeah, and I believe that'd be
A
good
great
for
champion.
I believe that'd be good for Figueroa because he has a speed advantage coming from the smaller weight class, and especially if he's a smaller guy, he's going to be a little quicker. That's
It'd
a
be like a
physics
John
problem.
Whitaker situation.
Yeah, it'd be like when Frankie Edgar fought at 155. He like no one realized it, but especially in his level changes, he was so fast the 55ers couldn't keep up with him. That's how he was beating them. So could Figueroa go up to 135? The only problem with 135 is we got Marlon Moraes. He knocked out. How many knockouts did he have going into his title fight? 4, 5?
I think 5, yeah.
Yeah, he had 5 knockouts in a row at bantamweight. This guy was the most exciting bantamweight. I believe 4 of those were first round. But he got beat by the ever dominant Triple C Henry Cejudo. So that's
He did.
another. However good you thought Marlon Moraes was, Henry Cejudo is a whole world above that. And Marlon Moraes and Jose Aldo had a fight where I
And
believe
then
the
you got
judges got it wrong, but
Aljo,
uh,
right?
Aljamain Sterling, yeah, that's such an exciting division. So what fight would
I know.
who in that
And then
division
you got Cody Garbrandt coming back.
looks beatable? Yeah, we have Cody
Oh,
Garbrandt on his way back. Pedro Munoz is doing pretty good in that division. I know. I believe didn't he? Did he lose a fight recently? I'm not too sure.
Munoz, yeah, I think he did.
Yeah. So, but
I remember seeing
he's still in
a
the
video
top
of it.
ranks. We got Aljamain Sterling, who how tall is he? Because Aljo is like five
I
seven,
think he's
right?
about 6 foot,
I don't think he's 6 foot. I
probably under
think
6 foot.
he's like 5'10" maybe. But he's tall.
That's
How
still
tall is
massive,
Figueroa? Like that's still coming up to a bigger weight class. That's something you got to worry about, you know.
right?
So
But I still think the athleticism. and the power of Figueroa, and he's got some power.
And yeah, and
He like
that exciting power punching style with the speed advantage he would have, he would be able to land those kinds of punches still. He'd probably be able to land
right,
better ones because that speed advantage.
right. Yeah, I think he could do some real damage at bantamweight. I think they just need to get rid of the flyweights. I don't see any purpose for them being in the UFC right now. And it's hard because guys are going to lose their jobs, and some guys might not be able to perform at 135. But that's just the business.
Yeah, I think it's also a weight cutting issue. It's not even just a business issue, but a lot of the flyweights, it's really, really hard for a lot of people to make flyweight. Like even Henry Cejudo, the one of the dominant flyweights, like he's missed weight before at flyweight. Demetrius
Right?
Johnson, the greatest pound for pound fighter, used to fight at 135. That was where a lot of his early career took place. And he's in
But
one
there was also
championship
no
now, which is
125.
very
There was
good.
no 125. There
Yeah.
wasn't a flyweight division when he fought at 135.
Yeah, but he still fought at that division and succeeded. I believe that
Right.
the UFC really should. They really should get, like, honestly, I'm going back and forth, and I know I sound indecisive now, but still, I mean, they don't.
There's just no point as a fan to
And
watch the
that would
flyweight division anymore.
that would also help the weight cutting issue because most of the flyweights in the UFC today, they have a really hard time making it to flyweight. So would getting rid
Right.
of that option to push it the extra mile, and a lot of those guys are wrestlers, they've been cutting weight their whole lives. So would it be better even for the fighters to get rid of that division and encourage fighters to fight closer to their natural weight?
Right. Well, I mean, even if for the guys that can make 125 pretty easily, there's one championship. One championship has some of the best
It
125ers
is
out there
very
right
good.
now.
One championship is all about being true to martial arts. So if you're good, one
Right.
championship will find you and they will sign you. I know one of my I'm a big fan of this guy on YouTube, MMA Shredded. His name's Jeff Chan. He only had, I believe, like 4 or 5 fights. Uh, one championship signed him. He actually won his debut. They gave him the shot, and he took it. And I think that's really good because he only had a handful of fights going into that. And there's not a lot of UFC fighters who have 5 or 6 fights. So I believe one championship is a
All the
wonderful place for the lighter weight classes. The 115s, I know they have that over there.
it's kind of like the WEC of current day because it was WEC, right? The WEC had the featherweight division and then the bantamweight division, right?
I believe so. I believe, yeah, because a lot of
That's where
I don't.
Jose
Well,
Aldo came from.
I'm not quite sure, but I know a lot of featherweights and bantamweights came from the WEC and were fighting in it. No,
And the
yeah,
UFC,
yeah. The WEC
yeah,
had it before because the UFC bought the division, or they bought the whole company. They bought WEC and then
and then Jose
used those
Aldo became
divisions.
the
You
UFC
had the
champ, right?
fighters, yeah, and so they made those divisions. Shit, I
Yeah,
do
I mean,
remember that.
you could do like the reverse of that, pretty much, where you send because they had this big deal
Yeah,
with one where they traded Ben Askren, which was, oh god, this trade was horrible.
for
They
Demetrius
traded Ben
Johnson.
Askren for
Yeah,
Demetrius Johnson.
the UFC
I
really
mean,
took
you
a
could
hit.
do
But I think now that, but
something
they,
like
I
that where
believe.
like
Okay, but here's the thing: the Ben Askren trade. Do you want to hear what they got from the Ben Askren trade? That Robbie
they got
Lawler controversy created a lot of hype. People are following Ben Askren now. Jorge Masvidal's Darren Till knockout created a lot of hype. People are following him now. That created a lot of eyes on the Jorge Masvidal Ben Askren fight, and then Jorge Masvidal delivered with that 5 second knockout. There were many, many eyes on that fight, and then that built up the Jorge Masvidal Nate Diaz fight for the BMF title.
oh
And
wow,
then now
that's
this is
actually
leading into one of the most exciting potential title fights in recent welterweight history
right. That's actually
to kick off the division's new era between Masvidal and Usman. Because that is going to be such an insane fight. Because we
and
all
those
know Usman's a hell of a grappler, but what can he do against Masvidal's striking?
we haven't seen Masvidal get into like a grappling match like a pure grappling
We
match.
know I watched him
Since
do a pure grappling match with Anthony Pettis actually, and
I did, well, I
he was a
hear
lot
about
better.
that.
He was a lot. I feel like he would have outpointed him. I don't remember if he submitted him or not, but he
I guess
was
so.
controlling the fight clearly. But Kamaru Usman is a
Oh,
lot bigger than Anthony Pettis. Kamaru Usman's huge. And Masvidal, he's kind of a smaller welterweight. He used to fight at 155. So Kamaru Usman could be a problem for him. But I thought Nate Diaz might have been a problem for Masvidal, but Masvidal took
I
care
also
of Nate
thought.
Diaz. You still there? Is your mic still? You here? All right, guys. I believe Mac's internet has crashed somewhat. So he's gonna work on his way back. But let's talk about the stoppage at the weekend that everyone is now questioning. Where where was it on the fight? Was this the co-main event? But it looked like a wonderful fight. Uh, you can see that when the fight starts playing out, it's immediately the fight only lasted 38 seconds, I believe it was. But it immediately gets exciting. I remember when I watched the exchange, and I'm watching it right now. There's a head kick, two giant hooks returned, about three head kicks, two overhands, an overhand return, giant hooks, an overhand return, and then the ref breaks it up. The one fighter, the fighter who he ruled the loser of the bout, he was wobbling a bit on his feet. I know Mac has a little fan theory about that, but honestly, they're going shot for shot. They're landing uh I land three, you land two or three, I land two or three, you land two or three. They're doing that, going back and forth, trading in a phone booth. And the referee broke it up. And I don't believe either fighter. I believe the referee should break it up once it is obvious that a fighter cannot
Right.
win and the referee is saving them from any further damage. I do not believe that that fighter could not win. It was a very exciting exchange. Matt, can I get your opinion on this?
Yes. Sorry about that. My Wi-Fi disconnected.
Yeah, I assume so.
Thank you for saving the show. But yeah, I've seen Cutelaba before in his Khalil Roundtree fight. Khalil Roundtree hit him with a good shot, and then Cutelaba, like, he did this thing, like, he looked like he was rocked when he actually. And so he was doing the same thing against oh shoot, what was the guy's name?
I forget. I
Right.
wasn't able to see the card. I didn't get to watch the
It's
card.
all
So
right. He was doing the same thing in his fight, where you could obviously tell his legs were stable underneath him, and he wasn't rocked at all.
he wobbles his head. That's just his passive head movement. That's his version of it.
Right, and then the
That's how
ref
he stays
just stops
loose.
the fight.
Yeah,
I saw the ref kind of look in. I was like,
and he stopped
fight.
it.
And they stopped the fight.
Uh, that
Oh,
fighter he landed an overhand as the ref stopped it.
it was a good overhand
The
too.
last punch in the fight was an overhand thrown by the loser. That
Right.
doesn't make any sense. That sentence in itself should show that this was a poor stoppage.
It was bad. It was. I was disappointed because I do like Cutelaba. Like he's exciting to watch. Be snuffed out before it even started. It was
Yes,
just
and
annoying.
that was an exciting fight. That was already becoming an exciting fight. There
Right.
were
They were.
many strikes landed almost immediately.
I thought the fighter he was fighting. I thought he was going to shoot for a takedown immediately because Cutelaba he does have an alright ground game. He has trained in sambo, but his striking is just on another level.
Yeah, that was a very interesting. That was a good fight.
It the first like 30 seconds. This was
Yeah,
only 40 seconds into the fight.
yeah, but it looked like it was gonna get very good. Like I was so excited for this fight.
Saw some fireworks going.
Yeah, there were many significant strikes landed. I don't have the stats pulled up yet. Do I? No. I'm not gonna go look that up. My keyboard's so clicky. But there was, if you looked at the stats, there were many significant strikes landed. In the first 30 seconds, it was shaping up to be an incredible fight.
And then just got snuffed out by a ref that, I mean, I guess if we're looking at it from an objective point, I can understand how the ref could have been like, "Oh, this dude's rocked," like this, like he's moving around, just his passive head movement looks like he's rocked. Because I'm guessing the ref hasn't seen a lot of Cutelaba fights, and this is just how he normally acts.
Yeah. So
So,
this is the
it,
commissions again getting people who, I don't know. Are you saying that the referee might have like not been familiar enough with fighting to like be a
I'm not
referee?
saying that I've seen this ref before, and this is probably the first huge mistake I've seen. And so, I mean, all refs are going to make mistakes. It's human nature. It happens. But
Yeah, you cannot perfectly ref a fight. That is true.
right. But still, I mean, that's just kind of inexcusable.
Yeah.
It's like it kind of threw me back to like Mario Yamasaki and like uh Mario. Who else was it? Who else was that really bad ref that
Do you
everyone hated?
remember? Shit, I know who you're talking about. Steve Mazzagatti.
Steve Mazzagatti. Yes,
Yeah.
Dana White would flip
Ethan,
out when
yeah,
it.
our buddy Ethan from the Curch Group podcast. He's even a casual, and he knows about Steve Mazzagatti being the worst referee in the history of fights. Said Dana White quote.
Yeah. Sorry, can I talk about one fight that I saw on the card that like not a lot of people are talking about right now?
Please do, please
Okay, so this guy's nickname is the Alpha Ginger,
do.
right?
Yeah.
So there was a clinch exchange. He's got this guy. He's got him in an underhook on one, and with his left elbow, it's kind of like it looks like a 12-6 elbow, but it's more like an 11-5. He hits
Okay.
him on the side of the head with it,
Like right above the ear,
right behind the ear.
right behind.
So
Oh man.
it's close to an illegal shot, but it throws off his equilibrium, and then he just goes to work, just pounding the guy out. And I'll send you the clip I just found because it just popped up in my head, but it it was um it was a finish. I mean, he got him. It was kind of out of nowhere too.
Wow. With that elbow, did that just put him down?
It rocked him, and then he got him with the
Pursued the finish.
yeah,
Yeah.
because he posted his head with the left hand, and then the right elbow comes down and just works him.
Wow.
Man, gingers can like go to work, dude.
All right. So let's I saw a meme earlier about Amanda Nunes and Valentina Shevchenko just being such dominant champions of their divisions, and that there really is nothing any other fighter can do. Which, it's fighting. Anything can happen. We saw Amanda Nunes' striking was even tested by Durandamine, which we know Nunes likes to strike. So that was
But
surprising to a lot of
yeah,
people. I mean, no fault to
I
her. Durandamine's an animal on the feet. But,
she's knocked out dudes before.
yeah,
Like
she's
not a lot
really
of women
good.
fighters can say that.
But, what do you think? What do you think's next for Amanda Nunes?
On the card yesterday, there were two fights in the women's 145-pound division, which the division doesn't even have rankings because there's not a lot of women fighters that fight in it. So you had a Megan Anderson fight, um, where Megan, no, yeah, Megan Anderson, she's a pretty good fighter. I'm not gonna lie, she's all right. Her record's 11-4, but that's not horrible 40 because there's not a lot of 145ers out there for that are females. She got a KO in her last fight, but I still don't think she's really at the level to face Amanda Nunes. But Felicia Spencer, I think, could give Amanda Nunes some problems because she also had a fight last night, and her ground game is very impressive.
Really? Was she what? Good off her back? Strong takedowns, holding people down. What's she
I'd
doing?
say she's really good at cage fighting, so she'll pressure you up
Yeah,
against the cage.
cage
Her
wrestling.
striking, yeah, her striking
She got
isn't all
a
there.
she got a TKO in the first round. How did she win
So
that?
it was a ground and pound finish. She took her down along the cage, immediately gone to top mount immediately. It was a really slick takedown right into top mount, full mount, sorry, and then it looked like in the fight, Felicia Spencer, it looked like it cut open. I think the lady she was fighting is French, and I cannot pronunciate French names.
Zarafa.
Yeah, I think it's Ferran or something. But Spencer's
Sorry.
elbow, it looked like it kind of grazed her eye, and
Oh
then
wow.
she kind of just poured it on there and finished from full mount. But
Wow.
I think she should fight Nunes at 145 next.
Felicia Spencer.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think
I like that. But here's the thing. Felicia Spencer's only 29. She's still really new in this sport. She has 9 fights total.
right.
And she has 6 finishes in 9 fights and 8 wins. So uh, she is at the looks like one of the best prospects in that division, but she might be too green. You also have to remember she is only 5'6".
Right.
She's only 5'6", so what gym does she train at? I bet she trains with Farasa Hobby in Canada. But shit, Farasa Hobby would be able to do it if that's where she trains. But you have to remember she's only 5'6". Amanda's 5'8" or 5'9", and she can bully a shorter girl in that octagon.
Right.
So
Also, her striking is way ahead of Felicia
Felicia
Spencer.
Spencer's. You believe
Right.
Felicia Spencer would have to out-grapple her?
Oh yeah.
Well, Amanda Nunes just showed off her grappling. I know
And
she's a
she
black
was a
belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
right, and Felicia Spencer is a brown belt, but I've seen brown work.
Oh, she does not train with Farasa Hobby, by the way.
She does
She
not.
trains at Jungle MMA, not Tresta.
Ah,
Yeah, I'm seeing the
Jesus, Suzuki.
finishing sequence right here. All the highlights are on ESPN.com. Wow. Spencer. Oh, no. All right, your Wi-Fi has almost cut out entirely, so I cannot hear a word of what you are saying. I just want to let you
Well,
know.
I was kind of mumbling. I'm on data right now.
Okay. Yeah, I could not hear a single word of that.
Yeah, I was Oh, really?
Yeah, no.
Well,
All right. Do you want to talk about next week's fights? All right. I didn't hear that either. You're
I
really
would like. Oh, Jesus, this is a problem.
yeah. You might want to go back to your Wi-Fi if that's any better. Hold on, guys.
There is no Wi-Fi.
There is no Wi-Fi. There's okay. Well, we're having technical difficulties once more. So let me think of some weird stuff to say to entertain you guys. Let me do a little rant. What happened in MMA this week that I can go on a little cute rant about? Let's talk about Bisping's commentary. He has improved so much as a commentator. His first UFC card, you could tell he got ready for the role because he's always been a good talker, quick, smart, witty guy. But he honestly, his first fight where he did commentary, you could tell he was still figuring it out. He was still figuring out the timing and the rhythm and when to talk, how to talk, what to say. He was still figuring it out a bit, but he really settled into his groove at the fights last night. I remember him like calling for security to get in the octagon when the referee made the poor decision to protect the referee. And I just remember hearing that, and I'm like, wow, he in the heat of the moment can think of something that true and that important. And that's the first thing in his head is something that important. And that's pretty cool. Michael Bisping he's a smart guy. He's quick. I don't know what to say. Me and Mac are both really big Michael Bisping fanboys. After watching the Luke Rockhold fight, I trained my left hook for 3 days straight. So yeah, I spent a lot of time watching that fight. A lot of time. We love you, Mike. That's all I'm trying to say. All right, that got a little weird. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of waiting for Mac to get back before we start next week's card. I really don't want him to miss it. All right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'll basically give us a surface level rundown on the card. I'll give us like what's going on basically, and then when Mac comes back, he can fill us in with his opinion because Mac has been watching fights his whole life. He's one of the smartest people I know, and so I really want him here for predictions because his predictions are spot on. All right. So we got UFC 248 coming up this
All right,
weekend.
is this
You're
this
back?
better?
That's perfect, dude. I was just
Oh
about
my
to
God,
start
I did
UFC
it.
248.
I
All
was
right, let
I
me.
was yelling into my mic. I was like, I'm here, and he just kept talking. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. All right, let me run through these fights real quick, and then I want to get your prediction, and
Hot
I want you
takes,
to tell me,
predictions.
yeah, how does it go? How do you think it goes?
All right.
Break it down. All right, so let's start at the bottom of the card, the first fight, which it's upsetting to hear that this fight actually did get canceled, but Derek Brunson versus Edmonds Shabazian. That would have been a good fight.
Oh,
That's a middleweight fight. I feel like there's enough killers to have someone stepping
I
on
like
late
Derek
notice.
Brunson.
I believe there's enough killers for someone to step in on late notice for that division, honestly. All right, so at welterweight we got Alex
But versus
Oliveira.
Derek Brunson,
Mm,
who got
I
injured?
feel I would want to fight Edmund Shabazian. He's a good hype train. There's a lot of eyes on him.
Did Shabazian get hurt, or was it
I'm
the
not
other guy?
sure. I'm just seeing that it got canceled.
Oh, all right.
One of them got corona.
Womp womp.
But Alex Oliveira versus Max Griffin. That's probably going to be a very exciting fight. I know Alex Oliveira always puts on a great show.
Oh yeah. Didn't he fight Cowboy?
Alex Oliveira, yeah,
I think he
Cowboy.
fought Cowboy.
Cowboy did his thing though. Cowboy
Yeah,
was Cowboy that night. We
that's
got
crazy.
Neil Magny coming back. That's going to be an exciting fight versus Jingling Li, who I
Oh,
have actually I haven't had an opportunity to see him fight often, but I
dude, he's
know
so good.
I've seen a few of his highlights, and he's a pretty
He's
scary guy. I want to see what he can
he's
do with
really
a few
good.
more fights.
It's so weird because Chinese fighters like scream whenever they
Yeah,
just like punch you.
it's
They scream and punch.
it's incredible. All right, the next fight is going to be Benyil uh, Darush. There's a lot of fighters from around the world now, which is good because it means the sport has gone global. But it
But then we
also
can't
means
say their names.
I gotta learn how to pronounce other people's names. I need to become more cultured, as along with the sport that has become more well cultured. Uh, Draco Klaus. I've heard that name before. I'm gonna be completely honest. I haven't seen either of these guys fight a lot. I know a lot of the MMA just went global, so a lot of these guys are new to the UFC. Both their records 17-4 for Benil, and 11-1 for Mr. Claus. I think that could be a good fight. Those are two very impressive records. These gentlemen clearly have great skill sets. Dana believes in them. He wouldn't make them the last non-main event fight.
Hold up here.
He wouldn't put him before the co-main, right before the
You're
co-main.
saying wait, you skipped some fights, dude.
I'm just on the main card. I did
Oh,
not.
you're just on the main card.
Yeah, if
okay.
you want to go to the prelims, that's cool.
Benil Dariush.
Yeah.
Okay, he's a really good fighter. In my opinion, he's very good. So he has to like top ranked guys like Michael Chiesa. Oh geez, I just forgot his name. Spinning wheel kick, dude. You know who I'm talking about? Edson Barbosa. Yep. So he's only lost to, like, Edson Barbosa, Michael Chiesa, and he beat Drew Dober recently. He lost to Alexander Hernandez. Alexander Hernandez is a stud. He's a killer.
Yeah, Alexander Hernandez, he was on a tear going into the fight with Cowboy, and he did all right in the beginning of that fight with Cowboy. To be completely honest,
he was giving him some work.
Yeah, no, that was a good fight.
All right, I'd like to say that Dariush has beat Michael Johnson and Jim Miller.
Wow.
Including James Vick.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Where was I during all this?
He went to a draw with Evan Dunham. Who else has he beaten recently? Drew Dober. Drew Dober is not a joke.
Yeah.
I think I got Dariush. I want to say ground and pound TKO in the second.
Okay.
I mean, Dariush is coming. I think he's coming out of Iran.
Yeah.
I want to say. Is it Iran?
Let me believe I can.
It's a Middle Eastern country.
It better be after you say that.
I know it is.
Yeah, no, he's Iranian.
Yeah,
wow.
Iranian.
You were right.
Uh-oh.
Crisis averted.
Oh, thank God he's Iranian. I've never heard anyone say that before.
I was gonna make that joke, but then I remembered we're live.
Okay, I'm a quarter Lebanese.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but those Middle Eastern guys have some really great wrestling, along with the I would.
Yeah, it's that Dagestani region. It's just wrestling has become really popular in that culture, and it's in the schools finally. So they're getting their fair share of legends and gold medalists, which they've been great wrestlers for a long time. But it's just that, you know what everybody says, the climate that makes them their minds hard as steel.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if that's it, but I know it's there's a lot of tough guys coming out of there, a lot of very talented, very tough fighters. Yeah, the athletes of all the sports actually now.
All right, like guys coming out of like the Eastern Bloc in the Middle East.
Yeah, just the Eastern Bloc has really exploded.
Oh yeah, dude, look at Russia. So we kind of got the wave of like in the UFC. We got the wave of like Brazilian fighters coming in and then messing everyone up, and then we had the wave of Russian fighters coming in. Like that's kind of happening now. Yeah. Like Russian fighters are coming in.
And now,
I think the next wave.
New Zealanders.
No, I want to say China.
You think of the Chinese fighters?
I think the Chinese are gonna come in.
I think the Chinese
mess everyone up.
Yeah, that's coming in after the New Zealanders though. City kickboxing.
Right.
Oh my God! City kickboxing. The whole Auckland card was like almost all city kickboxing.
it was
at like every fight you had a city kickbox member.
One of the greatest fights. I want to say
the UFC's about to push them so hard.
Rob,
and they already have 2 champions and a top contender. Okay, Mac. What are you gonna say? What are you gonna say?
Paul Felder versus Dan Hooker is probably one of my favorite fights ever.
Exactly. Paul Felder comes from City Kickboxing. Wow. Sorry.
I just made a what the hell face, Rob.
I deserve that.
Dan
Like and share
Hooker.
this podcast so we can make enough money to buy mics so you can see Mac's face.
And I can buy a new router.
Hell yeah.
Can step outside of McDonald's.
All right. Speaking of city kickboxing, Israel Adesanya versus Yoel Romero. What the
That
heck?
SOB is okay. Here's the thing about Israel Adesanya.
Are you gonna address this here and now?
I'm gonna address it. I'm gonna say it.
He's
I'm
gonna say it, ladies and gentlemen.
Israel Adesanya hates America.
Oh my God, that's a hot take.
Hot take. Israel,
Hot take.
piece of crap, dude.
You lagged out. I just hear Israel Adesanya, a little bit of silence, and piece of crap, dude. I mean, technically it worked. I really shouldn't have even explained
My
it.
connection is struggling. Oh no.
Your connection is deeply struggling. You got to do the hottest take ever.
Hottest take. All right, quick hot take.
Speed.
So Israel Adesanya made a joke about 9/11 during a press conference, to not even to an American fighter, which made it I want to say, it wasn't as bad.
It made it okay. It made me think that they're a little more distanced from the event, and it has been almost 20 years. And because neither of them are American, they've been a little bit distanced from the event. So I can understand.
Was
I can
10 years
understand
old
if
when it happened.
Yeah, and he probably. I mean, I don't know. It didn't feel the same because it was some country on the other side of the world.
Right, but I mean, we're still America, dude. We'll kick down your door and take your babies.
Yeah, but I can understand that it wasn't blocked off. There's some things that are blocked off in my mind. Like even when I'm talking too fast and hyped up, I don't think I would say something like that. But
Right, that's like a Holocaust joke. No, that's
yeah,
messed up.
but
That's there's a line.
Yeah, but that's because the 9/11 was such a national crisis and not as much a global crisis. And
Right.
the follow-up wars did become a global crisis, but the actual terrorist attack was not as much of a global crisis. So I can understand that that's not exactly always walled off. That's still an option
Right.
for
Well, I
them
mean,
when they're
I
in that
guess
state.
it would be like me, doing a Nigerian tragedy or making fun of the cast. What was it?
Yeah,
What
or
was the mass shooting?
Tiananmen Square. I don't know if that's how to pronounce it. I definitely
That's
said
China,
that wrong.
Tiananmen Square.
Tiananmen Square massacre.
Right, to a Chinese guy.
I see so many memes about that on Reddit.
But
Then
it's
again,
Americans
Reddit's not really the guys you can
made it.
trust. Yeah, but people still talk about that more openly. I've definitely
Right.
hear more people talking about that than they do the September 11th attacks. That's for certain.
I feel like there's this aura around the September 11th attacks where people are like,
that's probably just because we're American and because you and me were born right into that. So we were born into a world that was trying to quickly respond to it. I was born 2
right.
months after.
I was born about a year, or how you're 7 months older than me.
Yeah, so we were raised in the world.
Or
Our parents had just witnessed those events, and the
right.
world started to change around them, especially with the wars in retaliation. So you have to think about that's the world you and me were raised in, was by people who had just, for me, 2 months. For you, it was only a year since they had seen those events.
Right.
So we were
This
really
has nothing
raised
to
into
do
that
with
world.
MMA.
This really doesn't, and I think it's fine to go off topic.
Just a little bit, a little spurts.
Yeah, let's not talk religion or politics, but I mean,
because oh my god,
yeah,
the
that's
backlash.
That's terrible. That'd be.
I want to say one thing: Jesus loves knockouts.
Jesus, according to Conor McGregor.
No, according to Mark Hunt.
Oh, dude, it wasn't Mark Hunt who said that. Connor said that watching a Mark Hunt fight. Man, all right.
Every fight.
How long have we been doing this podcast? 53 minutes. Let's plug this shit real quick and then let's hop off because someone's cooking spaghetti upstairs.
Ooh.
I can smell it.
Mac needs a nap.
Yeah, you need to go to bed. You got school in the morning. He's a
not
minor.
Really. I'm not. Yeah. I got big plans. Okay, well let's kind of wind down a little bit. What do you got planned tomorrow, Rob?
What do I got planned tomorrow? I'm gonna do nothing. all
Okay.
day long, and I'm so excited for it.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be incredible.
I'd like
Just
to I'd like to give a tiny shout out.
yeah.
So my it's we're getting into an emotional part of the podcast.
Oh
You know?
man, close them off.
Yeah.
What if someone's listening to this before they go to sleep, and you're gonna send them to sleep on a sad
It's not
thought?
it's not it's not
All
it's
right,
happy.
I'll
It's a
think of
happy
a.
thing.
I'll find a knock knock joke that I can
Okay.
use to fix their
So
mood.
my cousin has here for 3. But tomorrow it's his last thing. It's his last treatment. So we're having a big party, and that's my plan for tomorrow.
You
And it's gonna be
actually cut out while explaining that
well
the first half, but it's his
This is-
last day of treatment. So
right.
can you tell the audience what's happening with your cousin?
Yeah, it's his last day treatment for leukemia, and then he's done. And hopefully that's it.
How old is
So
he?
just oh shoot, uh, 16. Just got his driver's license.
Just got his driver's license. Wow,
Yeah. Shout out to
that's incredible that
JJ
he can come back
Thomas,
from that.
the boy.
You know
Yeah,
what?
he's awesome, dude.
Fuck the knock knock joke. That was wholesome as fuck.
That's a good place to end. Screw
All right.
Israel Adesanya, go Yoel Romero.
Hell yeah.
God bless America.
I didn't get to talk about Yoel Romero, but I love him too. He's an animal.
Oh my god. Next
Oh
podcast.
shit. Okay, we got 4 minutes before we hit the hour mark. Do you want to talk predictions?
Yeah, for
Let's
what
just
fight?
do. Let's just do. Just the main event.
I got Yoel. Oh, that's crazy.
How's he
Yeah, I
gonna
got
win?
Yoel.
What's gonna happen? Round.
Dude,
Round.
I want to say,
How does he finish?
it's like it pains me to pick against Israel Adesanya because he's so good, but it's Yoel. This is probably Yoel's last chance at a title fight.
Yeah.
I want to go round 4 knockout.
By Yoel.
Knockout.
That is
Yeah,
the fight
Yoel.
he was most vicious with Robert Whitaker. Or round 3, it might have been. But
round 5, he put
why
it to
why
Robert
do you think
Whitaker.
that? How do you think he's gonna be able to do it? You think
It's just the left hand. It's
his left hand?
Yeah, I think he's gonna fake a takedown, overhand left, kind of what
Alright.
Khabib did to Conor, but
I
stance reverse.
Yeah, I agree, but I believe that we saw Kelvin Gastelum was able to he was able to get some stuff to work against Israel Adesanya, and I believe Yoel Romero is stylistically similar to Kelvin Gastelum, but he's bigger, stronger, faster, more powerful, more explosive, more dangerous.
He's a man.
Yes. He looks like Kelvin Gastelum on steroids. I know, he's a tested fighter, and that's just his genetics and his hard work, but still.
He won that suit, remember?
Yeah. Wow.
Dude,
I think
definitely did something back
he's
in
a
the day.
bigger, better version of Kelvin Gastelum. And I believe if Kelvin Gastelum could touch up Izzy the way he did, UL will be able to finish Izzy.
Right. If Yoel turns it into a bloody, war, he's got him.
If he does to Israel Adesanya what he did to Robert Whitaker, he has a good chance in this fight.
Yep.
And then if
Yep.
if Stylebender does lose this fight, I would want to see him come back against Darren Till. I'm just going to say it here and now, and then Paulo Costa and
really like
Yoel
Darren
Romero
Till,
should
don't you?
rematch for the title. Oh my God, tell me I didn't just put down the ultimate blueprint.
I think you did.
I just
Dude, the
third-eyed
middleweight
that.
division-
Let's see if it happens.
Jared Cannonier needs to fight someone soon. Because
Oh
I really
yes,
like him.
dude.
Dude, the middleweight division is crazy.
It is stacked.
I think it's one of that and welterweight are like my two. Oh,
Middleweight.
okay,
Yeah, middleweight's my go-to.
talk about lightweight right now because we'll go down a whole nother rabbit hole and we'll be talking for another hour.
Yeah, no, we cannot do that. I smell the spaghetti. I can't stay.
Next podcast. We'll be
Alright.
back. We're gonna
Alright.
make this a weekly thing.
Yeah, let's try to do weekly. We could do it on Sundays because I like a Sunday night podcast. I also like a Monday morning podcast, so we can be your Sunday night because we're live.
Right, and then Monday morning on the way to school, pop us up.
Ooh.
First period kind of sucks.
Oh, wow,
Listen to a little Mac and Rob.
Throat just did not want to work on that. Yeah.
Sorry for the technical difficulties. They should be ironed out next week.
Sorry about our internet connection, but
It's my internet.
yeah.
Also, you're in a basement.
All right. Shh. No.
Right. All right, ladies and
All
gentlemen,
right.
have a good rest of your
Have a
evening and
wonderful
day.
week. We'll see you next week after UFC 248.
Ooh, what a
Hell
card.
yeah. All right. Good night, guys.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Night, Mac. I love you.
Night, Rob.
Please subscribe and like this video. Yeah, good plugs.
It's a video? Yeah, plug.